imagine this. You invest in an IPO, you get the allotment, and within days your stock more than doubles. Your portfolio looks green, optimism is high, and it feels like you have found a wealth building machine. That's exactly what happened with Bajaj Housing Finance Limited when it listed at a price of 150, which was more than 2x its issue price of 70 rupees. But then the dream run hit a wall and the stock is now down over 40% from its peak. So in today's video, we'll try to understand the top 5 reasons which led to the downfall in the stock and also the way ahead for the stock. Hey folks, CA Rachana Ranade here and I welcome you all to a very interesting video which is about what's wrong with Bajaj Housing Finance Limited. And not only are we going to talk about the top 5 reasons for the fall, we are also going to talk about what next. So first things first, before understanding the reasons for the fall, we have to understand that what does the company do? As the name suggests, it's a non-deposit taking housing finance company and it operates as a subsidiary of Bajaj Finance Limited. So in simple words, Bajaj Housing Finance is the parent and this company, Bajaj Housing Finance Limited, is going to focus on what? Mortgage lending services. Okay. But there are 4 different types in this as well. First things first, home loans. Very simple. You need a home, you will take a loan possibly from Bajaj Housing Finance. Possibility number 2, loan against property. Now, what do we mean by that? I need a loan and I have to keep something as a security to take a loan. So what could I do? I could potentially keep my house as a security and then take a loan. That will be called as a loan against property. Possibility number 3 could be lease rental discounting. So assume I have 2 house properties, one in which I stay, one is which is given on rent. Now what I do is that I'm expecting some rentals in the coming few months / years, whatever, but I need money today. So what I would do is I would go to a bank, or in this case to Bajaj Housing Finance, and I would say, see, this is the amount that I'm going to receive on rent in the coming few months. Why don't you give the money today and I'll pass on the rental payments to you. So that will be called as the lease rental discounting. And ultimately we have developer finance, but that is mainly for whom? For the builders, not for people like you and me. Now that we know all these things, we have to understand from where does the major business come from, and obviously that is home loan. But if you have a look at this, you will understand that 56.8% comes from home loan, 10% roughly from loan against property, 19% lease rental discounting, developer finance 12.2%, and others is barely 1.6%. Now that you've understood what does the company do, in the immediate next section we start with reason number 1 for the downfall. Before we move on, I would want to tell you everyone that I am super excited to announce my second live event in Pune, which is CA Rachana Ranade presents Har Ghar Investor at Anna Bhau Sathe Auditorium on the 9th of March. Now, in this event, I'm going to cover some very important topics like how to achieve financial freedom, how to build long-term wealth using stocks and mutual funds, what would be my target for Nifty in the year 2027. But please remember that because this is a Women's Day special celebration, I'm going to add a separate section in this entire event which will focus on how can women start their investing journey. This will focus on women empowerment in the field of finance. So I hope to see you all at the session. The event is going to be on 9th of March. Book your calendars, but before that, book your seats. The links are there in the description box and pinned comment below. Last time the event had gotten sold out in less than 3 days. So hurry up and book now. See you soon. Now, when the company came up with the IPO, so basically when the window was open for IPO applications, at that time the market sentiments were pretty strong. In fact, I remember that the GMP for the stock was more than 100% as well. The issue obviously got oversubscribed. There were a lot of people who did not get the allotment as well. And once the stock got listed, of course, as I mentioned, it got a very handsome listing, more than doubled on day 1, and also post day 1 of listing the stock rallied by almost 28%. Now what happened? There were a lot of people who also entered on day 1, and maybe after a rally of 20%, 25% or whatever, they might have felt that okay, enough, maybe this could be a right time to sell, and that could have been the reason why, with a decent profit of let us say 20-25% in 2-3 days, people might have started selling the stock. Well, this is only about investors I'm talking about who came in on day 1. Those who had gotten the allotment in the IPO itself, they also might have thought that why not book profits. Also, what happened was that the stock got listed on 16th September 2024 and the market hit all-time high on 27th of September 2024. So I hope you're understanding the timing now. See, when the IPO had come up, at that time the sentiments were not that bad, but within few days, that was the peak point of the market, post which the market started to slide. And once market starts to slide, it's not only going to be the retail individual investors who are going to sell, it's also going to be the institutional investors who are going to sell. But on what basis am I saying this? Have a look at this. Mutual funds decrease their holding from 1.36% to 0.47%. FIIs, FPIs decrease their holding from 1.68% to 1%. And institutional investors have decreased their holding from 3.62% to 1.93%. All these data points are about December ending data, so Q3 data. So all in all, I hope you have understood कि हम बोलते हैं ना कि इंसान गलत नहीं होता, वक्त गलत होता है. Similar thing happened to it. Maybe the stock was not that bad, but the timing where the IPO came, that might have been bad. But then what triggered the sell off? There might have been some reason that triggered it, and that reason is what we want to discuss in the next section of the video. See, I've said this multiple times. When market conditions are amazing, no one looks at one factor. And whenever market starts to decline, whenever sentiments turn negative, that one factor comes into limelight, which is valuations. Now, what happened here? Even if I check the valuations of Bajaj Housing Finance today, it stands at a P to BV of 4.93. Now, you'll ask me whether 4.93 is big. I mean, is it heavier or is it lighter? For that, I'll have to compare it with its peers. And if you check for its peers, something like Hudco, which is at 2.04, LIC Housing Finance is at 0.95, PNB Housing Finance is at 1.41. So, as compared to its top peers, Bajaj Housing Finance is way ahead as compared to them. So, is the valuation, I mean, could valuation be potentially a main trigger which could have started the sell off? Possibility is absolutely yes. But always remember that just because the valuation is high doesn't mean it's nonsense. We have to also understand whether the key parameters are good, and that is the reason why is it commanding higher valuations. Again, for that, I'll have to define some key parameters, right? One could be something like an NIM, net interest margin. I could check the GNPA, I could check the NNPA, and then I will have to compare it with its peers. Why not do that right now? Have a look at this. For NIM, you can see 4% for Bajaj Housing Finance, and check for the peers, all are lower than that. Check latest GNPA data, it's at 0.29 for Bajaj Housing Finance, which is again the lowest as compared to all its peers. And even if you check the latest NNPA data, it's 0.13 for Bajaj Housing Finance, again way lower as compared to its peers. So, all in all, I hope you have understood that yes, valuation is a problem, it is high as compared to its peers, but what is the silver lining to this dark cloud? It is that the overall key matrices are way better as compared to their peers. Let's move on with the third reason, which could be end of anchor investor lock-in period. Now, what am I talking about this? See, like I told you, right, the overall market only hit the all-time high, post which a negative sentiment started coming in. There was an overall sell-off in the market, and Bajaj Housing Finance can't stay isolated in such a condition, right? So retail individual investors started selling. As I mentioned, institutional investors also started selling in, and then anchor investors said, we are also going to join the party. Once their lock-in period ended, so what happens typically, understand, post listing within 30 days, 50% of their shares are now available for sale. Okay, then the lock-in period ends for what? 50% of the shares. And within 3 months, so after 3 months of listing, balance 50% are now available for sale. Okay, so when did the first 30 days ka lock-in end? That ended on 12th of October 2024. Now, what do we have to check? We have to go to TradingView and then check what happened on 12th of October. Did we see a big red candle or not? So, for that, let me take you to TradingView. So, now if you see here, this is 11th of October, Friday. So, obviously, 12th was Saturday, was not a trading day. Immediate next trading day, Monday, 14th October, the stock cracked by almost 6%. And the volume was also pretty high. You can look at the volume there. 47.86 million shares traded on this day. So typically, the average volume that we see these days is around 10 million. And if I were to compare that with this volume of 47.86 million, that's a big one, right? Now let's also understand what happened on the 12th of December. I'll not be able to show that on TradingView because that falls within the 3 months criteria. I hope everyone is aware that SEBI recently came up with a circular which said that finance educators are not allowed to show or are not allowed to comment on 3 months data prior to the date that we are referring to right now. Okay, so as I shoot the video, it's 27th of February. I can't show 3 months prior data, so it's your homework. What happened on 12th of December 2024? How much shares? What was the volume of shares that were sold off on that day? What was the percentage fall in the stock is what you have to let me know in the comment section below. Well, by now you have seen that it was only Bajaj Finance which was going down. I also told you that the entire market was going down. But what about the sector? What about NBFC as a sector? Have a look at this. Oh God, from September 2024, all time highs. Hudco is down 44%, Bajaj Housing Finance is down 40%, LIC Housing Finance is down 31%, PNB Housing Finance is down 28%, Aadhar Housing Finance down 25%, Aptus Value Housing Finance is down almost 20%. So, all in all, I hope you have understood that it's not only Bajaj Housing Finance, the entire sector is down. But what could have led to this? One is entire market sell off. Possibility number two is that the current reason for the market sell off, one of the strong reasons for market sell off, is overall slowdown in the Indian economy. Everyone knows that our GDP expected growth versus GDP actual growth, there's a difference. Actual growth is lower than the expected growth rate. So, what happens in such situations? Two sectors get badly affected. One is the housing sector, one is auto sector. Why? I'll give you a simple example. Assume that I were to buy a house and right now the economy is not doing well. What will I do? I may postpone my decision of buying a house. I may postpone my decision of even buying a car, but I'll not postpone a decision of buying maybe a coat, a shirt, or trouser, because these are comparatively lower ticket value items as compared to something like a car or a house. Okay, so typically housing sales drop, auto sales drop during such periods, and if the demand for housing drops, obviously any institute which is going to lend for houses, that also is going to face some heat. And which is such an institute? Obviously banks, NBFCs, and specifically whom? NBFCs, and that too NBFCs which are into housing. So I hope you have understood that entire NBFC pack got impacted, all were down. But if you want to ensure that your knowledge doesn't go in a downtrend, for that what you have to do? Just subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Let's move on to the last reason, reason number 5, but that's not a statement, it's a question mark. Could it be Q3 FY25 results? And for that, let's have a look at the results. Now, here you can see I'm comparing Q3 FY25 with Q3 FY24. Assets under management has gone up by 26% YOY, loan assets up 31% YOY, net total income up 25% YOY, even net interest income is up 25%. If you see PBT up 25%, nothing is bad here, right? Now, let's check some key financial trends here. Now, if you check overall asset quality, GNPA, NNPA, obviously lower the better. But here, if I'm talking about Q2 FY25, Q3 FY25, so basically QOQ data, it's flat, not no change. Even if I'm talking about NNPA, it's just like 0.01% uptick, which is not very heavy. NIM, if you see, from 4.1%, it has gone down to 4%. Again, not very, very heavy. But if you check out two more return ratios, one is ROA and one is ROE. For ROA, again 0.1% dip from 2.5% to 2.4%. But for ROE, it's a dip of 1.5%. Now, what went wrong here? See, return on equity, in that, if I'm talking about equity, I have to consider number of shares. Okay. Now, number of shares went up drastically here. Why? Array, company came up with the IPO. So obviously, if the number of shares increase, the base is going to increase, and because of which the ROE dropped. So I don't think that's a very, very big thing again. So all in all, what did you understand in point number 5? Are the results really bad? I don't think so. Results were not really bad. So I don't think this could be a reason why the stock fell down. In fact, the reasons were fair enough. So in the next section, what we are going to do, we are going to understand, or we are going to try and answer a very important question: what lies ahead? So just now we checked the Q3 data and we said that nothing seemed to be very bad in Q3. But if you have been an investor in this stock from a long-term perspective, what we should do is we should check what is the past performance again in a long-term perspective, let's say 4 5 years. And if the 4 5 years performance has been consistent, then we may say that okay, ideally in the longer run there should not be a very big problem. Okay, so let's see how the stock has performed in the past. So for that, have a look at this, and you will see that revenue growth has been very good from 2646 crores in 2020 to 9064 crores as a TTM figure. This translates into a CAGR, revenue CAGR, of almost 28%, even though I've considered TTM also. So I've not taken only 1 2 3 4 years, I've considered this as a full year. So still 28% CAGR is a pretty good one. Net profit also going up from 421 crores to 1958 crores, translates into a profit CAGR of almost 36%. So all in all, has the company performed in a longer term? Answer is yes. So if you are a long term investor, if you have done the analysis of the stock fundamentally as well, I don't see any big problem in the numbers per se. But then what is also very important is what lies ahead. What does the management have as a plan for its future growth? Management has very clearly said that they are going to focus on the affordable housing category, and they believe that along with this, digital transformation is also going to be their key priority. Not only these two things which I mentioned, one is affordable housing ka growth, digital transformation, they said we are also going to focus on the third area, which is about focusing on lease rental discounting. So all in all, I hope you have understood about the management plans, about the long term story of this stock as well. Well, before I sign off, let me remind you all again about the show that I'm going to conduct on 9th of March, the Har Ghar Investor, and it's going to be really, really fun again in Pune. So I hope you have blocked your calendars. Don't forget to check out the link in the description box and the pinned comment. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Jai Hind and bye bye.